I want to talk about one very important thing, all right? The elephant in the room. So here's the thing. 2 days ago, I posted a poll on my YouTube channel and on LinkedIn. Two places I posted a poll. And the poll was, well, there's this new version. So here's what I was thinking. Like, there's a new version of Java that's come up, Java 23, right? Everybody's excited. There was a launch stream and all that stuff and community involvement, yada, yada, yada. It's okay, good. Now, there's also, like, I see comments and, posts about people being stuck in older versions of Java, right? We talk about legacy code. We also have legacy tech stacks, right? It's always a problem with the Java backend ecosystem because backend systems tend to be big, okay? No matter, like, yes, front-end code bases are big, but front-end code bases are, I think, a little more ephemeral, and they tend to change a lot. You change stacks, you change frameworks, you change the look and feel, and they go, well, let's rewrite, right? Backend systems tend to live longer. So you go, okay, then what is the general consensus on what is considered new? Okay. What would you like? This is my question. What would you consider a new version of Java that you haven't used and you haven't learned? What is new for you and what is familiar for you? I wanted to identify where that boundary is. So I said, okay, we have Java 8 to Java 23. Let me split that up and say, okay, anybody below Java 11, one vote. Java 12 to 15, one of those. So I basically split that range. Want to see where people go. And I thought most people would be on the 17, the long-term release version. And the results surprised me. It surprised me a lot. It surprised me so much that I was thinking, should I even talk about Java 23? You can guess what the results are. Can anybody guess? Let me show you. I will show you, right? Let's see if I have a drum roll. Is it a drum roll? All right, I have a drum roll here. I got to do this. All right. Let's see. Switch to the poll results. You folks see this? It's like, yeah, well, many people are stuck in different versions of Java. So my question was, I'd like to understand what you would personally consider as a new version of Java, right? Look at this. I said Java 11 or lower. Half of the people who voted, half, it's 1% short, but I'm gonna say half. Okay, this is a rounding error. It could be half of the people who voted are on Java 11 and lower. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm an idiot for not having Java 8 as an option. Maybe should I have had Java 6 as an option? Because I was thinking most of the people would be in this one. That's what I thought. And half the people are over there. Why would anyone be using a non-LTS version? Okay, fair. That's a fair point. You wouldn't use a non-LTS version on your day-to-day job. But the question was about what would you consider a new version of Java in terms of both in terms of dealing with legacy code as well as with learning. Like, what would you consider? See, which is the oldest version that you would consider you're unfamiliar with or have little experience working on? Okay, so sure, maybe somebody's stuck on an LTS version, but still, well, Java 11 is LTS, Java 17 is LTS, I think. Even if you go with the LTS argument, there are better versions of Java that you should be on. It's it's crazy. So I looked at this poll and I went, man, should I even make a stream and look at Java 23 features if this is the state at which we are in? And I was like, maybe this is exactly why I should do it, because people are so behind because of their slow company adoption, whatever be the reason, right? Enterprise companies are usually very, very slow at adopting. And I have a huge complaint about that, but I'm not going to get into that now. Well, they have their reasons, sure. But perhaps because a lot of us are stuck here, it is more important that we learn about this stuff. Yes, you're stuck with whatever version your company uses. Yes, that's only an excuse for as far as what you'd use in the company. That shouldn't be an excuse for what you are unfamiliar with or have little experience working on. As a Java backend developer, Java is our tool of the trade. So when Java has moved so further along, let's not have our destiny be controlled by the place of where we work and the version that they choose. We should control how much we are updated on Java, right? Because at some point of time, guess what? There's going to be a huge release, there's going to be a huge migration attempt. And at that point, we're probably going to be on Java 30 or whatever else. And the people who know Java 30 at the time are going to have a serious competitive advantage. So the fact that you're stuck on an older version of Java is a more motivation for you to learn and keep yourself up to date so that you're not left behind. Is that clear? I honestly believe that, and I hope you agree with me on this. The previous versions of Java, let's say older than 8, pose a security threat in any way, or they're more vulnerable. Yes, they are. They do. Yes, and yes, they pose a security threat, and they're more vulnerable. Because here's what happens when you use an older version of Java. We also have to use an older version of many of the libraries involved. Okay, because let's say you want to let's say you want to use the latest version of Spring. You're using Java 8, you cannot use the latest version of Spring. You're stuck on an older version because Spring has moved on from Java 8. I don't know what version is expected for the latest GA, but you cannot use it, right? This applies not just to like a major framework like Spring, but also to other dependencies like Tomcat or Jetty or any of the libraries that you use. So your version of Java is holding you back not from Java itself, but from all of those other things that you happen to use. Okay. Now, when a vulnerability is found, right, like a CVE is found, they're going to patch with the newest version of that library. They're not going to go back and patch the older version. They might if the company that's maintaining the library has enough money and has enough financial incentive to patch older versions. Sure, they might do it, but they likely won't. Okay. You remember the struts2 vulnerability that happened, the log4j vulnerability that happened. Guess what was the version that got patched? The newer version. I think they went back and patched struts2 older versions because so many financial companies were using the old one. They just couldn't let them behind. But log4j, the newer version was patched. There was another like a Tomcat vulnerability. There was a CVE. The newer version was patched. So when a newer version gets patched, at that point you go like, okay, I have a vulnerability now. How do I fix it? You got to go to the newer version. You cannot go to the newer version because you're using Java 8, right? Or Java 6 or whatever old version you're using. So that's going to be a huge problem. Right? It's going to be a huge problem. So there's no reason not to move. There are a lot of reasons to move. This is one such reason, right? Moving to Java 17, free optimizations. You get like, even if you don't see, this is the thing that frustrates, even if you don't use any of the new features, right? Don't use anything new. Just use the latest version of the JDK and the latest version of the JVM. You just get, your code automatically becomes faster. The JDK and the JVM have been constantly optimized, constantly optimized. And this is one of the huge benefits of moving to the cloud. And ever since we've gone to the cloud, Java has gotten faster, Java has gotten better, because you remember people used to scold, people used to crib about Java a lot for the cloud. They knew that it was a competitive advantage for them. Java became super fast and super performant, right? So there's no reason not to use it. All right. If you want to use Java, like you want to learn Java now, which version should I use? If you want to learn, just use 23 and try and catch up. So it's very much backward compatible. So your old code will still work. There are a few which are deprecated. So like if you're using sunmisc unsafe, that's deprecated, but you shouldn't be using sunmisc unsafe, those kind of libraries. For the most part, Java is very, very backward compatible. So you should be able to use that. The problem with people not migrating is for large enterprise companies where problems do show up. Even though it is backward compatible, there are changes necessary. So companies are scared, they won't do it. But if you're learning, you can just pick the latest version.